Hey guys, welcome to our episode of Mossolonian Musings. It's been about 3 weeks since we've joined you and given you some updates. I think that's a good thing. That means that things are beginning to progress in the developments, and we're not getting hit every single day with something new. So that's a really good thing. I have today joining us Pastor Gary. Give him a wave. We've got Pamela Cahill joining us today, Tim Hastings, and Pastor Brian Lloyd. So we've got everybody here to give you some updates. Let me quickly give you some updates of things that are going on and let you know that we are continuing in our roadmap to reopening. We're in, remember, there were 3 stages that were outlined by Governor Hogan. Well, sort of. There are 3 documented stages, but every time he comes on the TV, we hear about stage, well, 1A and 1B and 2A. So it could actually be 27 stages, but we don't really know. So here's what we do know is that we're officially in stage 2 and kind of stage 2B. And so there's been some additional openings, and actually, I believe in 2 days, this Friday, there will be some more openings, including indoor gyms. So it's time to quit eating and get out there and start working out. And that's bad news for me, but we're definitely progressing. That's a good thing. And so we're continuing to look forward. You know, some people have asked, when do you think we're going to be open? And here's what my best guess. I think it'll probably be around the middle of July. I think that we'll move to stage 3 somewhere in the middle of July. Obviously, that's contingent on all the, the factors that they're looking at continue to move in a positive direction. So far, all of those factors have been doing that. But I believe possibly as early as July 12th. And so what we're doing in the background is that we're beginning to make plans as though that were the day. Now, don't go spreading rumors. We're not saying that's the day. We're saying we're going to plan like it. So that means volunteer schedules and all these things that we do for normal weekends are going to start going out there. So you're going to start hearing from leaders and staff that says, hey, are you available? And that's a very good thing that helps us to begin to plan so we're ready when we can open. So how can you help us get ready? Well, we sent out this reopening poll. And do me a favor, if every individual, I know some of you say, well, I just want to answer for the family. But the reason that doesn't work is because in many families, the husband, might be ready, but the wife might be an at-risk person and says, I'm not really ready. And so really, truly, we need it for every single individual period. Every person that would be attending, that would help us. And that reopening poll is going to give us some very, very critical data for us to begin planning for that grand opening. So we just cannot wait to see you again. In the meantime, there's many, many things that you can be doing. Continue to catch us online and continue to join us there. We have about 5,000 folks joining us every single week, catching our services. So thank you for being a part of that and all that you guys are doing. Hey, I want to let you know some cool, exciting, upcoming things and some changes that have been going on in the background. So first, let me kick it over to Pastor Tim, give us some of the updates and things that are changing and going on.
Well, thank you, Pastor Brian. It's kind of been really, really cool. We have been meeting online. I'm so glad that you mentioned 5,000 because each week you should see the people commenting in the thread. So even if you're not ready to come back yet, I'd encourage you to continue to watch online and jump into the thread. I know that you've kicked it over to the thread the past several weeks and had folks comment in that thread. And it's been very, very cool to see the people that are watching. Literally all across the country, life changes happening from little Oak Ridge in Salisbury, Maryland. But it's kind of really, really neat that we have seen since we've been closed, the explosion online, but also we're getting really antsy to get back and get reopened. So a lot of things is been taking place in the background. It's kind of cool. This season has allowed us to address many of these things that we talked about earlier in the year that were goals for the church. One of those being online and the growth track. And some of you guys may have watched the service a few weeks ago when Stacie Siers was up on stage at the wrap of the service, and she is our new growth track director. So she's going to be taking care of everything online, from the bases and the classes And so you guys want to take a look at that. And so that's really cool. And that's really feeds into her gift set and her background. And it's kind of cool to see what God's been doing there. But it's
hey, let me throw into that. I don't know if we've announced this, but I really think this is exciting. One of the great initiatives she's going to launch for us in Growth Track is we're moving Growth Track to Sunday mornings. And so Growth Track is going to be available. We're filming all brand new versions of all of the classes, and we will have it to where you can literally take the classes on a Sunday morning. So you'll have your kids in family ministry, and you'll be able to do the class within the scope of 2 service time frames. You'll be able to finish it within that, and it'll be easily something you can fit on a Sunday morning. Very, very much looking forward to that.
Man, I love the Easter egg Pastor Brian is dropping in Mossolonian Musings. So that's really, really cool. You heard it here first. So you need to tell other Oak Ridge folks, get on Mossolonian Musings and check it out. That's going to be really awesome. So in the fall, be looking for that, because there's really no reason that you can't make it back and jump into one of those classes. But with Stacie taking care of all that, one of the Stacie's biggest roles was overseeing our guest services ministry. And if you guys have visited Oak Ridge, you know hospitality is very, very much the lifeblood of who we are at Oak Ridge. So our guest services ministry, I know that we constantly get feedback on our Connect cards that it was warm, friendly, someone acknowledged me, someone loved me, someone met me at the door. And so I would just say that the guest services ministry really, really is important to Oak Ridge. So with that being under her umbrella, we wanted to get Stacie totally engaged into the Growth Track role. So one of the things is we needed to kind of say, hey, who can oversee our guest services ministry now? And Stacie had a phenomenal team in the guest services ministry, one of those being Pamela Cahill. So Pamela Cahill is joining us today. And so Pamela, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and some of the things that you do around Oak Ridge and just in the guest services ministry?
Well, thank you so much, Pastor Tim. I came here to be near my grandchildren about 6 years ago, and I had already been visiting my daughter here and coming to this church, and I just fell in love with the ministry and the heart of this church just as a visitor from out of state. And so when I moved here from New Hampshire, automatically this was where I was going to come. I think I'm a retired military wife, and I think this is the best church that I have ever been in. And I've been in small churches and mega churches, even in Europe, and I think this church has it going on. They just know the heart of God, and they know how to reach people and how to love on people. And for me, walking in the doors means I've come home. I feel like I'm home. I don't need any family around, because this is my home. And the first thing that I did was I wanted to join a small group. I've been a coach for small groups in other churches, and I wanted to join a small group. And as soon as I got plugged in, I was ready to go. And then I started ushering, and I love ushering because I just love greeting people and helping people find their seats, and even getting coffee for some people that, forgot to get their coffee on the way in. And after I did that, I started leading some small groups. And I have a ladies study that I lead on Tuesday mornings that I just love these ladies. They have become like mothers and sisters and aunts to me, although I'm really probably one of the older ones in the group, but I digress. And then I've gone to Africa with Pastor Gary and Pastor Brian and with Stacie, and I loved going to Africa. I never thought I would go on the mission field, but I'll tell you, I just fell in love with the people of Africa. And if they wanted me in a minute, I would go right there, because they're just so, so precious. Yes. And so loving. Again, it was like going home, and I'd never been to Africa. I had a little problem. I don't know French, so I had a little problem with the language, but that was okay. And I also really have loved the dream conferences that we've hosted here at our church. And this past year, we hosted one down at another church, and I did some breakout sessions the past few years, and I have loved leading those in guest service area. So it just seemed very natural for me to come out of retirement, yes, to help lead this ministry and take this off Stacie's plate so that we could keep going with guest services. And we just want everyone who comes here to just feel like they have come home and that it's a safe place to be. And we are judgment free, and we just love people. And you can come even in your bathing suit, but wear a sweatshirt or something over it. But you can come in shorts, flip flops. We don't care how you come. We just care that you come and spend some time with us and hear the teaching and sing the music and just really enjoy getting to know our people and getting to know the Lord Jesus Christ. And I just thank you for being able to let me come on this journey with everyone here.
Well, thank you so much, Pamela. I know that you mentioned a lot there. One of the things, man, in Africa, they really get guest services.
Yes.
Hospitality, you feel loved, and it's so cool to see you in this ministry now. One of the things that I want to tell everyone is our guest services ministry has been meeting with their teams. We are preparing for your return. So post-COVID, with all the precautions and all that thing, I want you to know our guest services ministry is all over it. So it may look a little different when you return, but the love, the compassion, and the welcomeness will still be there for you guys as you return, no matter when that is. Hopefully it is sooner rather than later, but we know that the teams are already preparing for you guys. Pamela mentioned small groups. Pamela's a small group leader, and here's what I want to say to small groups. Even though we're kind of entering in the summer right now, which it feels like we've kind of been off for a while, groups has continued to meet strong. They've been meeting online through video, but some groups are starting to gather now around fire pits, around barbecues, on back decks. Some groups are even meeting, because it is 10 or less in a lot of groups, some groups are even meeting in homes. So what I would say is, as a small group leader and as small group attendees, talk to your group about what you guys are going to do in the summer. I have supplied all small group leaders with suggestions on what to do this summer. We have free curriculum that you can access. So if you want to continue to do that, we filmed our last green room last week. So the green room will be picking back up this fall. But until then, if you guys still want to meet, there's a curriculum that you guys can do. And if you don't want to continue to meet weekly, I would still suggest that you guys get together once or twice a month and meet for fellowship, meet for a barbecue, go to the beach, go out to dinner now. Actually, restaurants are able to sit inside now, so it doesn't have to be so hot in a parking lot or whatever like that. So you can go catch a dinner. I even heard the movie theater is opening up, so maybe dinner and a movie or something like that. But continue to meet with your group, because the importance here at Oak Ridge is connections. Everyone needs a vital connection. And so I would say continue to meet with your group on that. And then also, hey, if you're a lady out there, we had a ladies group launch that is going to continue meeting through the summer. That is on our Facebook community page. If you're looking for a group right now and you're a lady and you're going, hey, I would love to be connected, look at our Facebook community page and you can join a group right now. So take a look at that. So that's kind of what's going on in the groups world, Pastor Brian. And so I'll kick it back over to you on what else we got coming up.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Pamela. We're excited to have you on board. I got to get to know you better on that trip to Africa. It was a phenomenal experience. So I am very excited to have, I promise you, if your goal is to have a place that feels like you're coming home, Pamela is the one to do that. So thank you for stepping into that new role. I know it's stepping out of retirement. We're glad you did. Thank you for doing that. But welcome. We're so glad that you're a part of the team. Pastor Gary, we have been, even though it seems like we're all just sitting at home, but that's far from the case. We've actually been doing a ton of things in the background, both in student ministry as well as in peace. Talk to us a little about what's going on in those two areas.
Yeah, so of course, well, let's start with peace. I was super excited last Saturday, just a couple days ago. We got to give out over 100 roasters, 100 chickens that Purdue just hit our website and said, hey, we got all this chicken, and you think anybody can use it? So we created an Eventbrite form and just said in our closed Facebook groups on the peace plan and then on small groups and members, if you or you know somebody who could use one of these, sign up. And then you can pick them up at these times and go distribute them. We had people signing up for 6, 13, 7. You know, it wasn't just 1 or 2, because they were taking care of that many people that they knew that they could go and then give a chicken to. And I'm just like, man, think about the power of that. Think about the power of the regular church member saying, my buddy down the street needs this, and I can give it to him. And I just love that direction that we've been heading in. Over the last few weeks, been moving more and more and more to, let's make peace about you guys being the heroes, making relationships and meeting needs that maybe will lead to a conversation later on. Maybe when we reopen, you'll be bringing all these people back to church with you who wouldn't have been doing it before. And so we had little cards made up to say, join us online, but I'm more excited about the relational aspect that got to happen from that. We've wrapped up helping hand out box lunches for the schools over in Mardella when the school year ended. So did that serving opportunity. So we knocked that out of the park. You guys did a great job. Those of you who showed up weekly to do that. We're continuing to make 320 bagged meals for Halo. Every Thursday we have a team that signs up to come in to bag all that food in a safe way, a healthy way with social distancing and all like that. But we've been able to do a day's worth of breakfast and a day's worth of lunch. We did that for a while, and then we jumped that number up and said, let's do 2 days worth. We can do this thing. And so it's been really, really cool getting that all taken care of. We've continued to partner with the Salvation Army as often as they email me or text me and say, this is the day we could use some extra volunteers. I put that out there. And so that's all been going on still. And so just really, really good stuff to look at those opportunities. And one other thing that hasn't gotten talked about quite as much is my buddy Jim Kaler has still been mobilizing his team of people who have just said, look, we are friends and we love that community at Stone Grove. They're on Booth Street. They have started a relationship with them that's going on almost 3 years now, where they've been investing in the lives of their friends over there. And so if I end up with a company that wants to give me hams, I'm like, we need 100 extra for Stone Grove. If Purdue says, I want to give you guys some chicken, I say, we need 100 extra for Stone Grove. And what's amazing about that is Jim and his team are like their own little sub entity. So all I do is call Jim up and say, I got 100 chickens, and he takes care of everything else. He gets up with the community leaders in the Stone Grove community. He gets his team of volunteers together, and they roll over there on whatever day that works for them. And it's just phenomenal to see this group, this peace community within our church that just has a heart for those folks over at Stone Grove, building those relationships and bringing meeting needs over there the way that they are. I mean, if you want to see somebody who loves a community and who is reaching out right, you need to hang out with Jim, because he gets over there and he starts handing these things out, and his people are handing. Everyone in that community knows him. They drive by, they see him from across out their car window, and they're like, hey, and they're waving at him, and you can see the love in their eyes, and it's just an amazing thing. And so that's what we want to see. We want to see that reproduce across everything. That's what the peace plan is about. It's about you guys being the hands and feet of Jesus in a way to show love to our community, so that you build real relationships that will lead to life change. And so we're just so excited that they continue to partner with us at Stone Grove and for the great work that Jim is doing over there. We have our care callers. They're still checking up on everybody, and they check in with me once a week and say, yeah, we've got up with these people. Let's pray about these issues that are going on in their lives. And these guys have just been incredibly faithful and incredibly touched by the relationships they're getting to build with some of the more elderly and at-risk members of our church, and even some members of our community who've gotten on board with those things. They've done things like pick up stamps so that they could continue to mail folks and stay connected with them. They've dropped off food. They've dropped off DVDs of services because they just didn't have any other way to connect online to get our services. They've popped by just to chat. Just amazing continual work and a labor of love that they've done. I mean, this is week 12 of doing this now. 12 weeks in a row, they've been calling all these people and checking up on them. And I am just so impressed with these guys, and they love it. So, that some of them are even saying, how do we make a connection so we can get a big party and get all these people we've been checking on at a distance together in person? Because we want to see these people. We want to party with them. So I just love that. I think that's just the coolest thing ever.
Yes. And
like I said, they've been taking that ball and running with it. And so it's just some beautiful things happen throughout Peace right now, especially locally. We've been able to connect with our Peace International leaders as well. If you guys would be praying for Jeff and Gleeway, our partner pastor in Togo, he's really sick right now. I don't believe it's COVID-19. I believe it is something else, but it's been keeping him from being able to work the way that he wants to. So we want to pray with him. Been connecting with our partners in Macedonia. They're doing great. Pastor Sashal refuses to be on video calls because he's afraid that his hair is too messy. So you don't want to, because of the shutdown over there, you don't want to, it's really, really funny stuff. Pastor Timothy in China, he is finally reopened. They had their services for the first time this past Sunday. And so he is thrilled. And so it's just a beautiful thing to get connected. And I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but that Psalm 23 video that was in the service this past week, every single one of those pastors and people who were a part of that service, we've got a real connection with. We've either sat across the table in a training scenario or gone and been in their homes or their churches in a scenario where they're allowing us to join them in their ministry and their community. But we have a wide reach. And that video was just so powerful to watch because I'm like, look at all my friends. Look at all my friends. I love it so much. And so really, really cool stuff. And these are things that you can be a part of when we get reopened and even before, as we think about how to reach our community. Yeah, check out this picture. Here is Pastor Timothy's church back with everyone meeting again for the first time, getting to sit in their pews. They're wearing their face masks and doing their thing. And this is Christmas Church in Anqing, China, not far from Wuhan, the epicenter of the whole COVID-19 outbreak. And Pastor Timothy's just been leading that church throughout this just an unprecedented time. He's such an amazing guy. I wish everybody could get to know Pastor Timothy personally. And so anyway, when we get to the point where we can start having trips again, I hope you guys will take advantage of these relationships we have, because it will change your world. It'll change the way you see absolutely everything. Speaking of change, what if we transition over to talking about student ministry? Man, I've been having so much fun with our middle school and our high school students over these last few weeks. I got to meet with the volunteer leaders, and I said, I feel gypped. I feel gypped because I only got 1 month in person with any of these guys. And I was just seeing a spark, just a glimpse of how amazing our students are and what they're able to do. And then we had to go into shutdown, and it was like, but I didn't even get to know people enough to be able to connect. And so we've been doing everything we can to connect online, offering online devotional thoughts. The Bible reading plan stuff has just been blowing up. The ones I send out, they're not enough. They've been making up their own Bible reading plans, inviting each other to it. We've had 2 Zoom small groups that meet, one middle school, one high school, and they have Bible reading plans that they're going through. Man, if our kids are participating, if your student is participating in what we're doing, they've been reading some Bible throughout these last 12 weeks. And that's awesome. An amazing thing. Really excited about it. We've had some fun games we've been doing on Instagram. But there's this stirring happening in me where it's like, we got to do more than this. We can't just be meeting online. And if when we launch and we come back and everything reopens, if we don't have a plan for how to do more than what we were doing before, man, I feel like that would just be a horrible thing. I just believe our kids can do and be and connect in our church in such amazing ways, and that it would actually be pretty easy if we just choose to do the right things. And so I've been meeting with Pastor Brian and sharing my heart with him about what are some things we can do a little bit differently that are going to have the most impact. I mean, what would it be like to think, I know for a fact, if my student makes it all the way through our student ministry and is graduating, is getting relieved, I know for a fact that they're going to be able to step into the church and be fully assimilated as an adult into the life of the church. That I know for a fact that they're going to know how to stay strong in their faith when they end up in that college classroom or in that workplace that's hostile to Christianity. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact that they're going to understand what God means for us in our identity or in our sexuality. And we understand what God's standards and understand in his point of view on those hot topics. Man, what if the students who came for our ministry just had this expectation of, I'm going to step up and I'm going to lead. I'm going to lead my peers to impact the world. And I just said, we can do that. We can do that. But in order to do that, we have to make a couple changes. And so I'm sending a letter out this week to all the parents to announce a couple changes. And I'm going to let you guys be the first to hear it right here. When we reopen, whenever that will be, Brian, it's okay. I'm sharing this, right? We're good, right? Whenever we reopen, we're going to make a couple changes, and these changes are going to allow us to give the intensive focus necessary to accomplish the things that we've just described. And so what are those things? The first thing is, on Sunday mornings, when you come into the Ridge, that's going to be for a specific group of people. Instead of everybody being together, it's going to be middle school only. So 6th through 8th grade on Sunday mornings is going to have the whole Ridge venue to themselves. And we're going to be able to do age appropriate, stage appropriate teaching, laying and building up that biblical foundation, the biblical literacy foundation that's needful for them to be able to move on to what's next. So it's going to kind of be this capstone to everything they've been experiencing through children's ministry and on up. And it's going to be like the final step they need to say, yeah, you know everything you need to know biblical literacy wise to move on to the next step. Yeah. And what that does is it allows us to take the high schoolers out of that scenario and give them a focused time in the middle of the week where I'm toying around with the idea of just calling it equip, because I want to equip and invest in these high schoolers so that they can do the things we talked about. They can know what their identity is in Christ. They can know about how God's view of sexuality is. They can know about what it means to lead, to lead even in the church or in their community. Man, I have a vision for our students leading peace works like you've never experienced before and just blowing that up with them. On Sunday morning, what does that mean for them? It means they get incorporated into the life of our church, starting from the time they enter 9th grade. They'll just join our regular services, begin serving alongside everybody's getting on service teams and being grafted into the life of our church, realizing the vital role that we actually need them to play, y'all. We need these students to pull off what we do in a relevant and real way. And so I'm just crazy excited and really passionate about this idea because I want to see these students be everything that God's made them to be. And that might have something to do with I got 4 that are going to come through this program and experience every single stage of it. But anyway, I'm just excited about the transitions that's going to come. And I know I've said a whole lot of stuff just now. And I know you're probably sitting there saying, yeah, but what does that look like? Or how's it going to do? Or what night is it going to be on? And is there going to be this and there's going to be that? Man, we just are excited about the big idea right now. And it's a huge thing. And so we're going to be praying for God's direction as we plan and prep to get a lot of flesh on this thing before we reopen. It's going to be a big priority of mine to try to make this thing and put the real details together. So if you got a lot of questions, you can certainly email me, but just don't be mad if your answer is, yeah, I don't know yet. I haven't got that part figured out yet. I just know what I want to shoot for at this point in time. And I hope you guys have patience with me as we pray for wisdom and direction and begin to do everything we can. All that said, I don't know if you picked up on this or not, but if we're offering 3 middle school service times in the Ridge venue on Sunday morning and a senior high event called Equip in the middle of the week, that's a whole lot more service times and serving opportunities available to you to be a part of our student programming. And so if you aren't serving anywhere yet, come on out and help me make this a reality, because we are going to change some kids' lives and we're going to set the next generation up to change the world, and you can be a part of that. So come out and do that with me.
Wow. Thank you so much, Pastor Gary. You know, when people come and they say, hey, do you guys have a youth group? The answer is no, we don't. We don't have a youth group. We have a disciple-making factory for the next generation. That's where we're going. Thank you, Pastor Gary, for dreaming, visioning, looking beyond just kind of pulling off a weekend programming. And really, I think every one of us would admit and recognize that the challenges of today's students are bigger and more complex than they've ever been in the past. And what we don't need is just some program that entertains a bunch of kids. What we actually deeply, desperately need is a disciple-making factory. So I'm very excited about that. So thank you, Pastor Gary. Hey, Pastor Brian, I'm so glad you've been very patient. We have some exciting announcement. If you look behind him, there's a big old honking congrats. And that's because 9 years clean and walking with Jesus. And we're celebrating that journey with you. Thank you so much for what you've been doing here. Excited that God has wrapped that journey as a part of what you are doing now. So share a little bit about how that, you know, what God did in your life, but also how that plays into what God can do in other people's lives here.
Yeah, I came in my office and I worked for a great church staff, with a great church staff, and they congratulated me with some donuts and some balloons for 9 year. And yeah, 9 years ago, I lost everything and was at the worst point of my life. And knew something needed to change, but didn't have the ability or the know-how to do it. And God used my wife to say, you're going to go do something. And she said, you choose it or me right now. Amen. And by the grace of God, I chose her. And that was a catalyst for me to go in treatment. And I went into a 30-day program right here locally, Hudson, who I partner with a lot today. And matter of fact, got someone into treatment today at Hudson. And when I got out of there, really felt, like God was calling me to go into ministry, and took the next 2 years and merged my company with another company and shut some other companies down and just started life over again. And it was the best decision of my life. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do that. Never knew how good life could be. And without heroin. And it's pretty good without it, I can tell you. And so I'm thankful for that. Love to help people now get into to treatment and to start recovery, whatever that looks like. Sometimes that's inpatient, sometimes that's outpatient, sometimes that's showing up here to celebrate recovery, our recovery ministry here on site. And it's just, it takes a desire, when you get to a point where you're ready to surrender, a lot of great things can happen. And if anyone's in that position or knows someone or has a family member, I love that about this church. We are a recovery church, and recovery takes on many different facets. That's why I love Celebrate Recovery, because it's about hurts, habits, and hangups. Because really, the heroin use was just a symptom of a deeper issue. And I had to fix me. And Jesus helped me do that when I gave my life to him. But then he continued to help me through recovery to be who he called me to be. And so, hey, if that's you or someone, hey, reach out to me. Love helping people start their life over. Love to get you connected with Celebrate Recovery so that you can start the recovery process, because life is good without substances. I like ice cream a lot more than I used to, but other than that, there's no substances involved, and I'm thankful for that. So.
Well, again, congratulations. We're excited what God has done in your life and what he's going to do through the lives of so many. I love, the Apostle Paul said, take the comfort whereby God has comforted you, and then pass on that comfort, so that now you can help others who are going through the same thing. That's the journey. That's what every Christian is called to do. You have a unique story, pass it on. So thank you for doing that. Also, talk to us a little bit about, I mentioned that we're still not open right now for public services, but there is an opportunity to come catch one of the broadcasts. So talk a little bit about how they can do that.
Yeah, our broadcast service is so cool, and it's kind of one of the first steps we took into starting to get back into services. So we have about 50 people, usually 50 seats, actually or 60 this week, I think, that are available. In a broadcast audience, you get to join in with us as we go live for the 9 o'clock online service. So it's kind of like sitting in, an Oprah or Ellen show or taping, of live with Regis and with Ryan and Kelly. Regis, that just dated me. If you remember Regis and Kelly. But anyway, it's kind of like being in a studio taping.
Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil show. Yeah. But it's a little more than that, because our broadcast audience, we're worshiping together. We're enjoying the message together. So while it's not completely like how services used to be, it still has that same flavor and that same feeling. We are worshiping, we're standing, we're singing, and we're listening to really great messages. And we've been sending out emails, text. Also, it's been in small groups and ORBC member pages. You may have seen that. There's a link that you can actually register for the broadcast service. So if you haven't gotten the chance to do that and you want to join, we would love for you to join us this week. We still have some seats available, so you should sign up today. You can go to one of those locations, or you can also just go to our website at orbc.net, and you'll be able to see where you can select the tab to be able to sign up for the broadcast service. It's really, really cool. Last week, if you watched online, we had our first baptism in over 12 weeks, which was really, really exciting. We've got another one this week. And, it's just what a joy it is to be able to gather back together with some people, and then also to be able to see someone making their faith public, that their faith in Jesus is real and they want to make it public. So I just want to encourage everyone to check that out and get registered for it, because we would love to have you be part of it.
Well, we're excited that God is continuing to use the tools, the technology that we have available to make sure that even though the services have been closed, the church has not. The church never closes because the church doesn't exist in a building. The church exists in a body, and the body of Christ is comprised of every believer who loves and knows Jesus, and in your everyday life, taking Jesus everywhere you are. And so that's what the church is all about. The church has not been shut down, just the services temporarily. And we're excited because soon we're looking forward to being able to meet again. We know that will probably be coming pretty soon based upon how things are being forecasted. So we look forward to seeing everybody again in person. Until then, God bless you. We love you. We'll see you next time. God bless, guys.